The days that followed were a strange kind of bliss for Amira. Taywan had a way of filling the quiet parts of her life, his laughter during breakfast, the hum of his voice as he attempted Nigerian phrases, the way he clumsily helped fold fabrics, even though he often mixed up lace and ankara. Their evenings were filled with shared meals, English lessons, and music from both their cultures playing softly through the room. But for Amira, peace was always fleeting, because she knew something was coming, and it had Stella written all over it. Back at AO and Stitch, the atmosphere turned sour. It began subtly. Her desk was moved without notice. Her designs were rejected more often. Then, Stella started taking fabric samples from her personal stash without asking, and when Amira spoke up, Stella simply smiled and said, "You work for me. That means everything here is mine." Amira swallowed her frustration. But things came to a head one Thursday morning. She was running late. Not because she overslept, but because Tae-won had insisted on ironing her blouse for her. "It wrinkly," he'd said, frowning at the cotton fabric. She'd laughed. "Wrinkly is my brand." Still, when she arrived at the studio, the tension in the air struck her like cold water. Everyone stared. One of the interns whispered behind her hand. Amira ignored it and rushed to her station, but before she could settle in, Stella's voice pierced the room. "Amira, my office. Now." Inside, Stella stood by the window, dressed in a wine-colored sheath dress, her nails tapping rhythmically against the glass. "You're late," she said without turning. "I'm sorry. I got caught." "I'm not interested in excuses." Amira closed her mouth. Stella finally turned around and tossed a file onto the table. "Do you know what that is?" Amira opened it slowly. Her heart sank. Sketches. Her own. From last month. One of them, a black and gold bridal gown, had been circled in red ink. I did those for the modern wedding collection." "Really?" Stella said coolly. "Because I found them submitted under my name to the Lagos Bridal Showcase." Amira's mouth parted. "I never submitted anything." "Well, someone did. And because your designs were in my portfolio, the committee thinks I'm a genius. You should be happy." I don't understand. You're taking credit for." "Don't play innocent, Amira." Her tone sharpened. "You've been distracted lately. Coming in late. Walking around with that tourist. Maybe it's time you decide what you want more, romance or career." Amira felt the sting of it. Stella continued, eyes gleaming. "I gave you a chance when no one else would. And now you repay me with drama and disloyalty. This business runs on reputation. I've done nothing wrong. Except bring your drama to my doorstep. I know about your house guest. The girls talk. Clients talk. People are starting to associate you with scandal." The word hit like a slap. Stella leaned closer. "So here's my offer. Let him go. Get your head back in the game. And you'll keep your job. Keep your future. Keep everything." Amira's jaw clenched. "And if I don't?" Stella smiled, cold and slow. "Then you're out." She left the office on shaky legs. That night, she didn't say much to Taywan. She cooked rice, stirred mindlessly, barely tasted the food. He noticed immediately. "You sad?" he asked gently. She nodded. "Stella gave me an ultimatum." "What is ultimat?" "She wants me to choose. My job or you." Tae-won's eyes darkened. "Because of me? She doesn't like us. She never did. And now she's using it to ruin everything I've worked for." He stared down at his hands. "I make trouble." "No. You didn't." "She did." "I can go. I leave." She looked up sharply. "Don't say that. But if I stay, you lose." "I'm not losing you too." Later that night, she found him packing his small bag. "Tae-won," she cried. "Stop. I love you," he said simply. "But I don't want you to suffer because of me." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "If you leave now, what am I fighting for?" He took her hands gently. "You fight for yourself. Your dream. You strong. Beautiful. You make clothes that speak." "And what about us?" she whispered. He leaned in, forehead against hers. "If we reel, we survive." She kissed him then, not softly, but with the kind of fire that spoke of desperation and longing. They stayed wrapped in each other's arms that night, tangled in unspoken promises. The next morning, Amira walked into AO and Stitch and handed Stella her ID badge. "I won't be needing this anymore." Stella blinked. "You're choosing him?" "I'm choosing myself. And that includes him." "You're throwing away your future for fling?" Amira smiled. "You think he's a fling, but he's the only person who's seen me, really seen me, and never asked me to be less." Stella's mouth twisted. "You'll regret this." Amira turned without flinching. "Maybe, but at least it'll be my regret." And with that, she walked out, head held high, heart thudding in terror, but free. The morning after Amira quit, the apartment felt eerily silent. No alarm, no rush to get to the studio, no calls from frantic interns or notes from Stella about sleeve lengths or fabric textures. Just the sound of birds chirping through the open window and Taywan humming softly as he prepared tea. Amira sat on the couch in an oversized t-shirt, legs folded, staring at nothing. There was a strange freedom in doing nothing, yet the anxiety lingered like static. "You okay?" Tae-won asked gently, handing her a mug of ginger tea. She nodded slowly. "I don't regret quitting." "Good," he said, smiling. "But I don't know what's next." He sat beside her. "What you want?" She thought for a long moment. "I want to sew. Not for someone else. For myself. For people who actually care about fashion, not about gossip." Tae-won's eyes lit up. "Open own place?" "I don't have money. I barely have savings. My rent is due in 2 months." He nodded thoughtfully. "Then we work together." She raised an eyebrow. "You and me?" "Yes. I help. I strong. I can cook, clean. Maybe do Uber, taxi thing." She smiled faintly. "You drive in Lagos traffic?" "I fight in Seoul train," he said proudly. "Same thing." They spent the rest of the day cleaning the house, sorting her sewing materials, and rearranging the small corner by the window into a workspace. Tae-won swept, mopped, and even fixed a broken bulb while balancing on a shaky chair. By evening, they were exhausted. But something had shifted. They were no longer just surviving. They were starting. The following week, Amira started taking small sewing jobs from the neighborhood, hemming clothes, adjusting trousers, designing custom tops for street vendors and students. She stitched long into the night, using every scrap of fabric she had left. Word spread quickly. Amira the fashion girl. Neighbors dropped by. One brought jollof rice in exchange for an apron. Another offered 2,000 Nigerian nairas for a new blouse. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. Meanwhile, Tae-won found a nearby English center offering beginner to intermediate language immersion. With Amira's encouragement, he enrolled. It wasn't easy. He sat at the back, quiet at first. But over time, his English improved. He practiced at home constantly, reading cereal boxes aloud and watching Nollywood Korean fan edits with subtitles. Amira would often catch him rehearsing phrases in the mirror. "I would like to buy or rent, talk to the manager." "Where is the embassy?" "I love your dress. Did you make it?" "She is beautiful, my girlfriend." She giggled the first time she heard that last one. "Girlfriend, huh?" she teased. He blushed. "Maybe soon a wife?" She looked at him, caught off guard. "Wife." He grinned, proud of himself. "Just practice." "Not yet." But her heart skipped anyway. One Thursday, while Tae-won was at language class, Amira got an unexpected visitor. Stella. She stood at the doorway in heels and sunglasses, holding a fashion magazine. Amira didn't invite her in. "You've been busy," Stella said, glancing at the sewing machine humming behind her. "What do you want?" "Peace," Stella said, though her smile was thin. "I came to return this." She handed over the magazine. Amira flipped it open and froze. Her design. Her black and gold bridal dress. Featured on page 6. But this time, her name was in bold. Designed by Amira Bello. "I made a few calls," Stella said coolly. "Told them the sketches weren't mine. Figured you'd find out eventually, anyway." Amira blinked. Why this sudden honesty? Because I'm tired of pretending. And because I thought you should know. They want you for a mini-feature. Some boutique in Lekki is asking about your work. Amira's heart fluttered, but she stayed guarded. Why are you really here? Stella shrugged. Maybe I miss your designs. Maybe I wanted to see if the Korean boy was still around. Amira's eyes narrowed. He is. Stella smiled. Of course. Well, enjoy your fairy tale. Let me know if you ever want to come back. As she walked away, Amira exhaled deeply. She wasn't going back. That night, Taywan came home with something in his hand.
Close eyes, he said.
She obeyed. When she opened them, he held up a folded sheet of paper, clumsily drawn, of a shop layout with little sketches of mannequins, fabric shelves, a changing room, and a big window. Your dream, he said shyly. I design. She stared at it, tears threatening to spill. You drew this for me? I want make it real. She looked up at him, then leaned forward and kissed him hard, longer, deeper. When they finally broke apart, breathless, she whispered, I'm scared. I'm not, he said simply. I find way. I promise. But later that night, Tae-won stepped outside and sat alone on the stairs. He pulled out his phone, a new one, borrowed from a classmate, and stared at a message he hadn't sent. It was to his brother back in Seoul. Hyung, I'm in Nigeria. I need your help. Please call me. He hadn't told Amira the truth about his family, about why he left, about what he lost. But he would.
Soon.
The night felt warmer than usual. Amira lay curled on the small couch, a loose scarf wrapped around her hair, Taewon's jacket draped over her shoulders. He was in the kitchen, frying eggs the way she taught him, slow, with salt, onions, and way too much oil. They had fallen into a rhythm, one neither of them could deny anymore. It wasn't just cohabitation. It wasn't just infatuation. It was something real. Still, something had changed in Tae-won the past few days. His smile had dimmed around the edges. He'd spend long hours in the corner of the apartment staring at his phone, lost in thought. Sometimes, he'd put in his earbuds and play a slow, sad Korean ballad, lips trembling but never saying a word. Amira knew grief when she saw it, but she also knew how to wait for truth. Until one evening, he came to her, holding that same phone in his hands. I need to talk to you, he said softly. They sat on the floor, knees touching. Amira held his gaze, steady and quiet. I run away, Tae-won began. From Korea. She blinked. Why? He hesitated, hands twisting in his lap. My family very rich. Business people. Strict. My father, CEO. Big company in Seoul. Amira nodded slowly. You never mentioned them before. I was youngest son. Not good enough. Not smart. They wanted me marry girl I not love. Business deal. Amira's breath caught. I said no. So they disown me. Her eyes widened. They cut you off. He nodded. I left. Traveled. I wanted freedom. I came Nigeria for short time. 1 week. Then phone bag all gone. I had nothing. But then, I met you. Her throat tightened. And now, he sighed. My brother, Hyung, he called. He say our father is sick. Cancer. Company needs help. He asked me to come back. Amira's heart dropped. So, you're leaving? I don't want leave you, he said, voice trembling. But I must go. For family. For closure. She stared at the floor. And when you go back, then what? Will they accept you again? Will you become the heir you ran from? He didn't answer. Because they both knew the truth. That night, Amira couldn't sleep. She sat in bed, tracing her finger over the sketch he had drawn of the fashion shop, their dream. A home, a business, a life together. It felt impossibly far now. The next morning, Tae-won packed what little he had. 2 shirts. 1 pair of jeans. His passport, finally retrieved after long embassy meetings. Amira handed him a small envelope with her savings. It wasn't much, but it was enough. I trust you, she said, tears brimming. He cupped her face gently. I promise. I come back.
For you.
You better, she said with a trembling laugh. Because if you don't, I'll design your wedding suit for someone else and burn it.
He laughed.
But it turned into a sob. Then he kissed her, slow and deep. The kind of kiss that says goodbye, without saying forever. Amira watched him board a cab to the airport. She waved until the car vanished into the horizon, then turned, and went back to the sewing machine. The silence in the apartment was unbearable. For 3 days after Tae-won left, Amira didn't speak much. Not because she was devastated, but because everything reminded her of him. The humming when he cooked, the clumsy Korean-English mashups, the faint scent of his cologne on the throw pillow. Worse, her body missed him. She caught herself turning to say something and realizing no one was there. Her laughter would catch in her throat. Her lips would still tingle from his kiss, only to be met by empty air. But what hurt the most wasn't absence. It was the way the world responded. It started subtly. One afternoon, Amira was delivering a custom blouse to a woman down the road when she overheard 2 girls giggling at the junction. That's her, right? The one who took care of the Korean guy.
Mchu.
Fed him, housed him, and now he's gone. She's even skinnier now. Love has finished her bank account. The laughter followed her like smoke. Another day, her ex-boss Stella came by the market and stopped by her stall just long enough to make a scene. Oh, Amira. Still stitching dreams, I see, Stella said with a pointed smile. How's your little Romeo and soul? Found a new Juliet yet? Amira ignored her. But the hurt etched deeper than she wanted to admit. Still, she worked. Each morning, she opened her small workshop at the edge of the street. A table, 1 machine, and a mannequin wearing her latest design, a soft peach gown with gold embroidery, inspired by one of Taywan's drawings. She got customers. Word spread again. Slowly, she was rebuilding. And every evening, before bed, she'd open the sketchbook and whisper, "You said you'd come back." One night, she sat with her best friend Halima, sharing puff-puff and malt in the darkened shop. "People are saying you're foolish," Halima said bluntly. "That you gave your life savings to a man you barely knew. That he used you." Amira looked down. "I know." Halima leaned forward. "Do you think he used you?" Amira paused.
No. I think he loved me.
Maybe still does. But even if he doesn't come back. She swallowed hard. He changed me. He made me believe I could live for myself. That I didn't have to stay under someone's control, like Stella's. I built this. He just helped me see I could. Halima blinked, then smiled softly. "You're braver than me." Across the world, Tae-won sat in a boardroom in Seoul. He was dressed in a black suit, hair combed neatly, eyes tired. His brother sat beside him. His father, pale and thin from treatment, sat at the head of the table. "You have 1 month," his father rasped. "Learn the business. Understand the legacy. After that, we announce your position." Tae-won nodded silently. But that night, alone in his room, he opened his email and saw a picture Amira had posted on her small Instagram account. A dress. Her smile. Her eyes filled with quiet strength. He pressed the phone to his lips and whispered, "I'm coming, Jai. Wait for me." 2 weeks. Then 4. Then 6. And still no Tae-won. Amira counted the days like prayer beads. She checked her phone each morning, hoping for a text or call. She read every unknown email header twice, just in case it was him. Even when her bank balance dropped, her rent deadline crept closer, and her eyes lost a bit of their shine. She waited. But time, as it always does, invited doubt. Her workshop grew. New customers came in, some from Lekki, even Ikeja. Her Instagram page, filled with photos of her work, began to circulate among local boutiques and bridal designers. One afternoon, she got a direct message from a verified fashion influencer. "Your work is divine. Ever thought of showcasing at Lagos Fashion Week?" She nearly fainted. Amira's name was becoming known. But every time someone asked her what inspired her designs, she thought of Tae-won, and her throat tightened. One late evening, as she was locking up, A man parked a shiny black SUV beside her tiny shop. Amira Bello? Yes, she asked cautiously. The man smiled. Handsome,
Clean-shaven.
dressed in a linen kaftan that screamed wealth. I'm Kunnel. My sister wore one of your gowns. I'm opening a boutique downtown. I'd like you to be our lead designer. Amira's breath caught. Lead. Nigeria Naira 500K advance. Workspace. Your own team. Interested. She smiled, polite but hesitant. Can I think about it? Of course. He handed her his card. But hurry. Talents like yours deserve the world. She watched him drive off, heart racing. It was everything she once dreamed of. Except the dream had a face, a voice, a promise, and it was still in Korea. That night, she opened her email inbox. Still nothing from Taywan. No messages, no calls, only silence. Her chest ached as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She still wore the necklace he had bought her. Cheap and gold-plated, yet priceless to her. Why hasn't he written? Why hasn't he come back? The next day, Halima came over and found her curled on the couch. Kunnel called me, Halima said gently. Said he hasn't heard back. I need more time, Amira mumbled. Amira, what if he's not coming back? Amira's voice cracked. Then I'll know I was a fool. Halima hesitated. Or you'll know he wasn't ready. Meanwhile, in Seoul, Tae-won sat in a hotel room, his laptop open, his mind torn. His brother had just offered him a full position, VP of Global Relations. A seat at the table, a house, a car, a name restored. And still, Amira's face haunted him. Every photo she uploaded, every video of her behind the sewing machine, every comment from people praising her resilience. She had given him everything. Her money, her space, her heart. And now she had nothing but his silence. He slammed the laptop shut and grabbed his phone. Hyung, he said, calling his brother. I'm not staying. There was a pause on the other end. You're leaving all this? For that girl? Yes, Tae-won said firmly. She's not just a girl.
She saved me.
When I had nothing. His brother sighed. Appa will be furious. Then let him be. I'd rather be poor and loved than rich and hollow. And just like that, he booked his return flight. The day began like any other. Amira was sewing a coral-colored wedding gown in her shop, sweat glistening on her forehead, fingers calloused from long hours. Her rent was due in 3 weeks. Kunnel's offer still sat in her inbox, unread. She hadn't heard from Taywan in over 2 months. Some nights, she still dreamed of him. Sometimes he came back. Sometimes he didn't. Sometimes, in those dreams, he held her tightly and whispered in Korean words she couldn't understand, but her heart did. This morning, she didn't cry. She didn't hope. She simply worked. And then, the noise started. It was a screech. A black luxury car, sleek and foreign, pulled up on the side of her dusty street, catching the attention of everyone. Boys paused their football match. Market women craned their necks. Girls who had once laughed at Amira now stood still, mouths open. The car door opened. Out stepped Tae-won. Dressed in a fitted gray suit, his hair styled clean, his face no longer sunken but glowing. He looked like he had stepped out of a drama, out of a dream. He didn't speak to the murmuring crowd. He didn't look at anyone else. He walked straight to her. Amira stood frozen outside her shop, still wearing her apron, her hair wrapped in a faded scarf, her hands stained with chalk and thread. Tae-won, she whispered. He walked up to her slowly, eyes never leaving hers. His voice, when it came, was soft but sure. I promised. Amira's lips trembled. You really came back. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black box. Will you marry me, my everything? Her knees nearly gave out. There was no orchestra, no spotlight, only the dusty wind, the whisper of leaves, and a stunned street holding its breath. Amira looked at the box. Inside was a simple silver ring, elegant and shining. Behind Tae-won, 2 more men approached, holding papers. One had the deed to a new home, purchased in Amira's name. The other, documents for her fashion school, fully funded. She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. This can't be real. He cupped her face gently. It's real. I work. I saved. I built. All for you. Amira laughed through her sobs. You crazy, ridiculous Korean man. Then she kissed him. Right there, in front of the market women, the gossiping teens, the neighbors who had once mocked her. And everyone clapped, whistled, and shouted. Even Halima ran over, crying, yelling, I told you, he was your destiny. Taywan smiled against Amira's lips. I come back. Always. 1 year on, Amira stood in the studio of her new fashion school, watching students cut, measure, and laugh as music played in the background. Her name was on the glass window in gold, Amira House of Design. Tae-won entered with their lunch. He still messed up the orders, and she still laughed every time. They shared a kiss under the sunlight that flooded the studio, the scent of fabric and warm stew around them. Love had cost them everything, but it gave them each other. And that was everything.